Okay, well, today we're going to be talking about something that every Santa should know about, or at least have some kind of a working knowledge. And that is, of course, Santa's coursers, his reindeer. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of fascinating things that make reindeer completely unique from any other deer species on Earth. And I'm going to go over all of those today, but you should pick out a few things. And no, I'm not just talking about the names of the reindeer, which you should know anyway. Besides Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner, Blitzen, and Rudolph. But you should have some other names as well, such as Brandy and Rusty, who pulled Santa's sleigh around the town. But this is more about the uniqueness of reindeer versus all other deer. So I'm going to dive right into it. So this is something, seriously, Santa should know most, if not all, of these facts, because next to elves and Mrs. Claus, reindeer get discussed more than anything else that Santa talks about. And of course, the list. But yeah, as far as outside of what they want for Christmas, they'll always ask, how's Rudolph doing? And it'd be fun to say, do you know what makes Rudolph unique from all the other deer? So I'll get right into it. First off, and this is something that not a lot of people know. Do you know that reindeer's eyes change color from spring and summer to fall and winter? They actually go from a golden brown in spring and summer and into fall. And then once winter comes in, they actually change to blue. So they go from golden brown to blue, and then in spring they go back to golden brown. So they're the only deer whose eyes actually change color. The other thing is they are the only species of deer that both the males and the females grow antlers. Now, the males will start growing their antlers as early as February, and will keep them through fall and sometimes into winter, although a lot of people say no, Santa's reindeer are all female because they're the only ones that keep their antlers until spring, which is true. They do keep their antlers through when they've had their calves, and that's kind of a protective thing. However, there are males that, if they're careful and don't get too crazy, they can keep their antlers as late as January. But for the most part, they always keep their antlers through the fall. And what's fun is then they shed the antlers and then they grow them right back again. So the next thing has to do with their hooves. And do you know reindeer are the only animals that click when they walk? They have those specially designed hooves for the Arctic winters, and they're completely covered in fur, which is another unusual thing with reindeer versus any other deer. They're the only deer that their hooves are completely covered in fur. And by the way, so are their noses. They are the only deer species that has a furry nose. So they are covered with fur from their tip of their nose down to the bottom of their hooves. So, and that keeps them warmer in in cold and aids in traction when they're walking. So, so they are definitely a furry animal. Now, the other thing that most people don't understand about reindeer is they are the only deer species in the world to be widely domesticated. For thousands of years, they have been kept by Arctic peoples as livestock for their milk, for their meat, their hides, and they use them as draft animals to pull heavy loads. So there are entire cultures built around the reindeer and their herds that they're close to. So, and in fact, for a good many of indigenous people, that's how they train their young to hunt. And, that's a big part of their adulthood is to hunt reindeer and caribou. And by the way, reindeer and caribou are synonymous. It's the exact same species. There is absolutely no different. There is no species difference or anything. It's just depending on where you live, you'll either call them caribou or you'll call them reindeer. The other thing, I'm going to show you a picture on this one. Compared to their body size, reindeer have the largest and the heaviest antlers of all living deer species. Do you know a male's antlers can grow up to 51 inches long? Now think about that. That's over 4 feet. And man, they're huge. I mean, look at the size of these antlers. They're ginormous. Now, a female's doesn't grow quite as big. However, they can still reach 20 inches. And of course, they have all these tines on their antlers when they, grow. So I'll tell you, the biggest part of a reindeer that you're generally going to see is their antlers. So, and trust me, as Santa, I can tell you, they can move you with those antlers. They can pretty much have their way of where they need to go or where they want to go if you get in the way. So, so you don't want to get on the business end of those, but they are absolutely beautiful. And boy, when they drop, they're just gorgeous. And by the way, in the wild, a lot of antlers, when they drop, feed other animals like mice and rodents and different animals that'll actually gnaw and chew on the antlers and keep them going. So they're an important part to any ecology. So now, just to get a little scientific, the actual species, the Latin name for them, is Rangifer tarandus, and that covers both caribou and reindeer. So Rangifer tarandus is the Latin name. Now, the USDA gave Santa's reindeer a special species subclassification. and that is RT, or Rangifer tarandus, saintnicolas magicalus. So that's Santa's flying reindeer, Saintnicolas magicalus. So now you know the official name for Santa's reindeer. Well, I hope this gives you a good idea. I mean, they are fascinating creatures. If you ever get the opportunity, and as a Santa, you should look this up. There are a lot of reindeer wranglers. There's a lot of reindeer farms that you can go visit, get your picture taken with the reindeers, as I have done, and you can obviously see them up close, I mean, they are beautiful animals and very sweet animals. One more thing about them. Do you know that they are very, obviously, very furry, but do you know that top layer of fur is hollow? And that's what helps keep them warm? The air moves through the fur and actually works as a heater to keep the reindeer warm. So there's a lot of fascinating things about reindeer, and they're fun to talk about. And boy, I'll tell you, when you're telling the kids this, their eyes just get big as saucers when you're talking about what makes them so different from any other animal. So do check into that. I think if the more you know about reindeer, the more you're going to come across as Santa Claus. So I hope this has been a big help for you. And, again, if there's anything you want to know about reindeer or Santa Claus, please ask me. I'd be happy to share whatever information I have. And as you know, I train Santas. And of course, if you would subscribe to my channel, I'm going to be doing continuing videos like this that'll help Santa learn more about his craft and how to talk to kids. So by all means, stay up with me and stay with me. Well, thanks so much, and enjoy learning about reindeer.